My name is Callie Gillum, and this is my audience. Imagine your best friend or sibling is going on a vacation, and when you're saying goodbye to them, that will be the last time you say goodbye. Human trafficking is not just a state or nationwide problem, but an international ethical concern that is very difficult to deal with. Approximately, there are 20 to 30 million sex trafficking victims in the world today. The average teen enters the sex trafficking world between the ages 12 and 14 years old. Trafficking primarily involves exploitation when it comes to many forms, including forcing victims into prostitution, subjecting victims to slavery or involuntary servitude, and compelling victims to commit sex acts for the purpose of creating pornography. People often ignore the sex slave world until it actually happens to your own family member. We need to take a stand somehow and figure out a way to at least slow down this horrific crime. From the article Human Sex Trafficking, published February 22, 2011, written by Amanda Walker Rodriguez and Rodney Hill, states, "Today the business of human sex trafficking is much more organized and violent. These women and young girls are sold to traffickers, locked up in rooms or brothels for weeks or months, drugged, terrorized, and raped repeatedly. These continual absences make it easier for the traffickers to control their victims. The captives are so afraid and intimidated that they rarely speak out against their traffickers, even when faced with an opportunity to escape. Normally the traffickers have a bottom girl, which is a girl that has been there the longest and has earned the trust from the traffickers. She lures in men, collects money from the victims, disciplines the girls, and does day-to-day business for the traffickers. In order for these traffickers to control their victims, they have to use drugs, violence, emotional tactics, and financial methods. The traffickers will claim they can give these vulnerable girls they love them and they will marry them if they continue to work for them. Sometimes the girls get addicted to drugs they give them, and the girls are addicted to the drugs they give them, and then the traffickers will use them as a way to keep the girls because they will be able to supply the drugs to them. And the last way these victims get controlled is they take their identities away, like their social security cards, passports, and anything else that has their name on it, and if the victim gets away, they have no way to support themselves and will most likely get returned to the trafficker. Like I said before, the victims get lured in by getting promised a good job in another country, a false marriage proposal, and they get sold into the sex trade world by their own parents, boyfriends, or husbands, and they also get kidnapped by the traffickers. As stated in the article, Fact Sheet Sex Trafficking off of the website www.acf.hhs.gov, published August 2, 2012, sex traffickers use a variety of methods to condition their victims, including starvation, confinement, beatings, physical abuse, rape, gang rape, threats of violence to the victims and the victims' families, forced drug use, and the threat of shaming their victims by revealing their activities to their family and their family's friends. These victims face many different health risks. They can get addicted to drugs and alcohol and can have lots of different physical injuries. They can get sexually transmitted diseases and have miscarriage or forced abortions. Human trafficking is not just a state or nationwide problem, but an international ethical concern that is very difficult to deal with. There are ways that we can fight human sex trafficking, and you can learn the red flag of human sex trafficking, and if you ever get in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, just ask some follow-up questions to the trafficker. There is always a number you can call. In this article, How to Recognize and Prevent Human Trafficking by Catherine Chone, published April 9, 2013, it states the National Human Trafficking Resource Center is a toll-free 24-hour hotline where victims of human trafficking and community members can seek information to get assistance through a phone call. 1-888-373-7888 or text BEFREE or 233-733. The NHTRC received more than 20,000 calls in 2012, including more than 1,300 calls directly from victims and survivors of human trafficking. If there is a will to prevent this, then there is a way. We just all need to contribute in any way you can. Don't ignore something that can happen to you or your close one. Let's stop it now.